we continue to follow this breaking news coming in out of the Middle East as we get a look at what appears to be an assassination attempt by Hezbollah on Israel's Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. Axios reporting that Netanyahu's home in the coastal town of Caesarea was hit by an explosive drone launched from Lebanon by the terror group days after Israel killed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar. Now, this photo right here on your screen was posted on social media by Dr. Eli David, a well-known researcher and lecturer. David says this is from one of Iran's official Telegram channels showing the direct hit on Netanyahu's home. Now, we are told that Netanyahu and his wife were not there at the time. A lot to discuss here, so I do want to bring in a friend of the show to help kind of break it all down. We do have Ben Taliblu, Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much, as always, for taking the time to be here.
Pleasure. Great to be with you. Thank you.
Of course. Well, first off, I do want to ask your overall reaction when you see that an assassination attempt has led to this. We're not talking about a plot, but an actual drone that appears to have hit Netanyahu's home.
Yes, well, it's a real sign that despite the success just recently against Sinwar in the south, particularly in Rafah, to Israel's north, there is a far more complex political and military battlefield. And despite the reporting that we've seen now over the past 2 weeks, based on some of the military successes Israel has had in the north against Hezbollah, against its operatives, and even against its arsenal, there remains a significant long-range strike capability in the hands of that terror group. That long-range strike capability is brought to you by the world's foremost state sponsor of terrorism, that is the Islamic Republic of Iran. That is the country that has created and armed and trained and equipped Hezbollah for so many years now to perform exactly this sort of function. So despite some of the ground taken, despite some of the arsenal being destroyed, despite some of the leadership being killed, this group is clearly fighting on, and they're getting bolder, and their strategy is to go after where they think they can destabilize Israeli politics and the Israeli military most, and that's to go after the commander-in-chief.
And you just kind of touched on this, but is Hezbollah operating fully under the direction of Iran, or are they just an Iran proxy, and this just so happens to be what Hezbollah wants to do?
Well, for many years, the secret sauce, if you could call it that, between the patron and the proxies, or the patron and the partner, was that Tehran had a very long leash for many of these proxies. It supported local initiatives, local efforts, and then based on the capabilities of that local initiative and local effort, would give you more to do. That's exactly how they've scaled up their relationship with another terror group, the Houthis in Yemen, for many years. But Hezbollah is really almost part and parcel of the Iranian national security establishment. Close ties to the Quds Force, created again in the 1980s by the IRGC, by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And in this instance, normally you would say that Hezbollah would have the initiative. Hezbollah would lead the effort. But given the clear gutting of its mid to high level command and control, and given the fact that there are literally IRGC officers in Lebanon today designed to help Hezbollah execute exactly these sorts of operations, to give command and control and targeting and political and military advice, I would say it is much more closely wound and tightly knit to the Islamic Republic than perhaps any other point in its history.
Do you expect that we are going to see Israel retaliate against Hezbollah in a big way? We know that the strikes have been underway over in Lebanon, but is this going to be something different?
Well, I think it could be different based on the theater the Israelis decide to push back against. Certainly things in the north are going to continue. Admittedly, you've just had some very interesting reporting coming out of the U.S. With the Americans telling the Israelis to actually pump the brakes with respect to the operation in the north. They're talking about Beirut. They're talking about civilian casualties. But nonetheless, there is, despite strategic convergence on pushing back against Hezbollah and enforcing Resolution 1701, tactically, there's very different approaches between the U.S. and the Israelis as to how to get there. But the Israelis, indeed, I think, will factor this in, or one can only assume rationally that they would factor this into their larger and still much awaited military response to the Islamic Republic of Iran directly. I mean, make no mistake, that tweet that you put up there just had a little coy point at the end, which said, we learned that Netanyahu's house was bulletproof. Is Khamenei's house bulletproof? Or something to that effect, which is, given that the Israelis had promised the Americans their response against Tehran would be essentially limited to military installations, essentially not nuclear and not energy facilities. Um, what does that mean now? Does that mean the equation has changed? Does that mean political targets are on the table? Is a strike against the house of a commander in chief answerable only by a strike against the house of the other commander in chief? It raises a heck of a lot more questions, but it's questions that'll have us looking east towards the battlefield between Israel and Iran directly rather than just north.
Talking a little bit more about Sinwar and his death, we know that Iran leadership has said that he died. He's a martyr. So is his death really a blow of any kind to Iran?
Well, every single gutting of the command and control, and in particular leadership of these terrorist groups, whether it's by Israel or by America or any other foreign actor, against the axis of resistance or even against Iran's terrorist apparatus itself. One remembers that back in January 2020, U.S. President Donald Trump went after Quds Force commander Qasem Soleimani via drone strike in Baghdad, Iraq. Any of these sorts of decapitation strikes significantly handicaps the group. It creates short to medium term coordination problems, both political and military. It's not a panacea, it's not a silver bullet. Many of these groups, particularly when you get to the mid level and the low level, are functioning within a context that they're not alien to, meaning they're products of a society, not imposed on a society. And in that sense, they still, will regroup. There will still be resonance, but the consistency with which Israel has been able to push back against mid to high ranking commanders, and particularly those, at least when it comes to Hezbollah, that have knowledge over air defenses and drones and missiles and rockets, does indeed limit the capability of the group to continue to stay in the fight over time. When it comes to Sinwar, listen, there's already some names floated out about who could be his replacement. There's talk about his brother, Mohammed. There's talk about others. Certainly, I think the resistance in Gaza really has gotten its nose badly beaten, especially if you're comparing it to the relative staying power of a group like Hezbollah or even their patron, the Islamic Republic of Iran. But make no mistake, this is designed to increase the transaction costs for terrorists to continue to engage in terrorism. And that strike, which reportedly was actually, it was unknown that Sinwar was in that house initially. It just goes to show that wherever these folks are in whatever theater they're operating, justice is coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ben Talablu, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and help break down all the latest developments there. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, I think all eyes should continue to be on the Israel-Iran theater directly, no matter the going after of the proxy leadership or the command and control of any of these other terror groups that constitute the Ring of Fire. I think right now we should see how that drone strike may or may not impact this forthcoming Israeli retaliation.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time, as always, to be here with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I do want to pop up this statement here from Netanyahu as he is responding to that assassination attempt. He says, quote, "The agents of Iran who tried to assassinate me and my wife today made a bitter mistake. This will not deter me and the state of Israel from continuing the war of revival against our enemies to ensure our security for generations. I say to the Iranians and their partners in the axis of evil, anyone who harms the citizens of the state of Israel will pay a heavy price for it. We will continue to eliminate your terrorists. We will return our hostages from Gaza. We will return our residents in the north. We will achieve all the war goals we set, and we will change the security reality in our region for generations. Together we will fight, and with God's help, together we will win."